We'll begin now. Thanks so much for joining in. I'm also on YouTube. We are doing Twitter Space. I'm on YouTube too. For those who want to join in there and ask their questions there, you are also welcome to join in there. But we'll start with the scholarships in the US and how you can go about this. The steps. Many people don't know that there are steps to the fully funded scholarships in the US. Many people think it's just what they can just wake up one day and then just apply like that without preparation. I want to say that if you are interested in applying to the US for fall 2025 session, now is the best time to start making your plans. Okay, to start making your plans, to start applying, to try to start applying. Now is the best time to start if you are interested in fall 2025. Now some people will think, oh, it's too early. Is it not too early? We are in May 2024, but I'm applying for fall 2025. No, it's not too early. One thing you must know about scholarships in the US is that many times it requires you planning 1 year ahead of time. So one of the things I'll be talking about today is what you can do. Okay, what you can do in this time, what you can do in terms of preparation, because it takes at least 1 year ahead of time. You have to start doing things. So this is May. If you are interested in scholarship in the US, this is what you want to listen to. This is what you want to listen to and pay attention. Sometimes it may take you jotting things down because you may forget some things. We are bound to forget some things. So sometimes we want to jot things down and know things you want to do. But first and foremost, let me advertise US. Why US? Why scholarships in the US? You want to know that in the US, there are over 3,000 schools in the US. Over 3,000 schools, and each of those schools, they have their own form of scholarship of funding. Okay, over 3,000, more than 4,000 schools in the US, and each of them has their own specific form of funding. So there are lots of scholarship opportunities. Each courses, what each of them fund can be different from one another. So you can have a school that fund purely those in the sciences. They have a lot of funding for those in the sciences, and you find some other schools, they have a lot of funding for those in technology, engineering. So you have your choice. You can make your choice. Choosing schools in the US, you can make your choice and choose the school you are actually interested in based on the funding they have for the course you want to do. Okay, so you can make your choice. You can choose what you want in the US. Lots of funding, over 3,000 schools, and they are not just little schools. Most of them are top schools. They are one of some of the best schools you can find in the world. So first, that's the first point. Each a lot of schools, over 3,000 schools, each of them with funding for the course, for different courses that you are interested in. Another beautiful thing about the US is for those who want to do PhD, for example, one beautiful thing about US is that for most of those, the requirement for most PhD opportunities is just a BSc degree. Okay, for those in chemistry, for example, lots of chemistry program in the US. I know a lot of people from Nigeria have come to do chemistry in the US, and all they had was a BSc, and now they are doing a PhD. So the US will afford you such opportunity to be able to go in and do PhD straight away with your BSc. Some people say, oh, is it possible? Is it not possible? Yes, it is very, very possible. Straight with your BSc, you can do a PhD in the US. So that's one of the benefits, that's one of the advantages of studying in the United States, of deciding to study in the US. Now, one beautiful thing about US again is that for those with HND, you can find it easy to study in the United States, to do your master's, to do. In fact, I've seen someone with PhD started a PhD program in the United States. So it is very, very possible. It is very, very possible. So I want to implore you, if you are listening to this now, share this on your timeline. Let people know that something like this is possible. We are going to unravel a lot of things. We are going to talk about those different steps and talk about common mistakes that some people make when they are trying to apply to the United States for the funding for full scholarship, and what they've been failing to do. Probably point out their errors and will find solutions to it. And of course, you'll be able to ask your own personal questions too. Okay, so one question I get regularly from people is this: what should I do? What should be the first step for me? What should be the first step for me? What should I do? Now, as I always tell people, I've always mentioned this over the years, that if you are applying to the United States, the first thing you want to remember, I mentioned that the schools, you are applying to the schools have lots of funding. There are lots of schools, and there are lots of funding for each of the schools. You have about 4,000 schools, 3,000. What you want to do is, because you are applying to a school, you are applying to schools individually that have funding for you. You want to, what's your course? Oh, I'm doing chemistry. I'm doing toxicology in chemistry. You want to be able to look for schools that have funding for toxicology, chemistry. Among all those schools, you will definitely find schools that have funding for you. You will definitely find schools that have funding for you. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to be able to search for schools that have funding for you. And how do you search for schools that have funding for you? Now, this requires you know how to do to search online. Okay, because it's very important. It's a very important because there's a video I made on how to search for schools on YouTube. I've shared it a couple of times here, how to search for schools. Some people say, "Oh, well, I searched for chemistry, I can't find it, this and that," because the in scholarships in the US have a special way they are being referred to. They are being called. They call it assistantship. So when you want to search for schools with funding in the US, what you want to search for online on your Google search app or wherever is assistantships, because you want to look for the keywords that they use, the keywords that the school will use on their website, because you want to get results that will lead you to their website. So for example, if I'm interested in assistantships in chemistry or funding in chemistry, for example, I don't know why I've been using chemistry as an example, but let's just say I'm interested in chemistry, for example. On Google search, I'll just type chemistry assistantships, and it will come out with schools with chemistry with a lot of assistantships. That's what you will find. If I'm interested in schools that are funding with public health, what I will type is public health assistantships. You will see lots of schools. Now, some people will say, but my own course, I'm interested in doing research in, let's say, cyber security, for example. I want to do cyber security. If you want to do that type of site, if you type cyber security assistantship and you can't find result, first thing you should note is under what category will you find cyber security. For many schools, it will be under computer science. So if you search computer science assistantships, what you will see is schools that have funding in computer science, wherein you'll find cybersecurity as one of the options there. Okay, so what you simply do is type the computer science assistantships, and then you will see a lot of schools with assistantship. As with assistantship, for those on this platform, I want to quickly start doing that type of search for your course. For example, someone who is interested in food and nutrition, type on Google food and nutrition assistantship. You will see lots of schools. Calm down. Okay, you see a lot of schools that have assistant. Now, the beauty of this type of search is that it will take you to schools in the US that has funding. Those are the schools it's going to take you to. Okay, if it won't even bring out schools that don't have assistantship at all. So you go directly to schools that have funding for your course. Now, for some people, someone will say, my own, what the type of research I want to do is just mention one fancy name. Sometimes it may be difficult to get results in that light. Just go to the general category. Okay, someone will say, my own is macro something something economics. It's possible that you don't get result for that. Just type economics assistantship, then go and check the units they have, the research area they have, and check if they are doing research in that your own area, which is macro whatever or micro whatever. That's how today. By tomorrow, you've forgotten that you found a school that suits your purpose. So what you should do is, as you're searching, create that spreadsheet where you put name of schools and put their requirements and put a mark if you'll be able to apply or not. Put while you are searching, you will see their what do you call it, the application fee, their requirements, and all these other different stuff. And then you'll be able to say if you'll be able to apply or not. So create that spreadsheet, name of school, requirement, TOEFL, GRE. Do they require GRE? Do they require this? Do they require that? Put all those things in the spreadsheet. And once you're able to do that, you'll be able to go back to it and say, okay, I've identified this school, I can apply to this school, they have funding. So you also put it there as part of the tables, like funding. Do they have funding or not? Many schools on their website, they will tell you whether they have funding or not. In fact, some schools will categorically say that we fund all students that get admitted. So if they will not fund you, they will not admit you. Okay, they will not admit you. Question on YouTube, I will come to questions. Okay, just leave it there. I will come to the question and answer it. So that's the first step. You want to find out schools that have funding for you, and you want to find out their requirements. You want to find out their requirements. You want to make sure that you're able to meet their requirement. Write those requirements out. Now, sometimes some requirements will require you to take exams. Requirements like GRE, for example, if a school is requiring GRE, you want to make sure that you give enough time. You want to make sure that you give enough time to be able to fulfill that requirement. And how do you fulfill requirements? If a school requires you to write GRE, for example, the first thing you want to do is to register for the exam and study for the exam. And I tell people that we usually take like 3 months to prepare GRE exam. Okay, it takes like 3 months. And that's why I say for you to apply to US schools, it's not just what you do in a hurry. You have to plan for it, because we are even still talking about the first step, which is searching for schools, trying to get their requirement, trying to get ready their requirement for the time you will apply appropriately. Okay. Now, when you search for the schools, you are also looking out for professors that you can work with, research professors or professors that you can work with, that you are interested in their research work. So while searching for the school, you want to note the name of professors down and the research work they do. You want to note it down. And if you're interested in working with them, you want to get a link to some of their recent papers. Okay. So you see, it's becoming more. What you have to do per school is becoming more. And it's not what you just rush in to do in, let's say, 1 day or 2 days, and you say, oh, I've arrived. I know the school I'm applying to. I'm sure I'm going to do this and that. No, because you have to write the professors. Now, it's not compulsory for US. It's not actually compulsory to write messages to professors. It's not compulsory, but it's a good thing. Okay, for you to write messages to professors. I have videos I've made um, where I've talked about what do you call it now? How people can write messages to professors and why people write messages to professors and the like. You want to make sure that you get their recent papers, what they have done, and then you write cold emails to them. You send cold emails to them. It's very important. It's part of the process, and it takes time. And sometimes you will not get responses from some of these professors. Is that because they are very busy, or because they are just, maybe they are not interested in what you're writing, or because you've not written well enough, you didn't write good enough, and then they could not respond. So you want to make sure that you write properly. I've made videos, different videos, so many videos on how to write cold emails to professors and make sure that you get a response. I've made very beautiful videos on that. You can go to YouTube and look for them there. Okay, so remember, you are writing cold emails. You are from each website. You are looking for the requirements. You are picking the professor's web email. You're trying to write cold emails to them to be able to get a chance at working with them. Okay, now not all cold emails will be positive. What should you do? Should you still go ahead and have those schools that some of the schools you want to apply to? Yes, that's very possible. That's very, very, very possible. Sometimes it's just that they didn't see your email. Sometimes it's just that they're too busy. Sometimes it went to whatever. But I usually advise people after 2 weeks that you've sent an email, send a reminder. Just say, just respond to that same email you send that, "Hi, Professor XYZ. I just wanted to be sure that you received the email I wrote about working with you, this and that." And in your cold email, of course, you don't have to write lots of stories. You don't have to write lots of stories. You want to include the relevant information. Relevant information. I want to show that you have passion for that field. Okay. And how to show passion, one of the ways to show that you've read the paper. So ask questions about the paper, like just say research XYZ. Just also show that you have some research skills. Mention the research skills you have, the research experience you have, those things you've done. Mention those things. It's very, very, very important. Very, very, very important. Okay. So that's the part about writing to professors. One of the steps, of course, is writing to professors, and that can take months because you have to get response. If you get a response, a feedback, and then back and forth, they can decide to interview you or not. So you can choose a school as, okay, well, this is one of the schools I'll be applying to. So you have searched for schools, you have searched for the requirements. Okay, you have checked if the school have funding or not. You have sent cold emails out to see if a professor will take you in or not. Of course, you want to determine the application fee, if you'll be able to pay it or not. If it's an application fee that you think you won't be able to pay, and then there is also a form of, you think you can, you stand a good chance at getting something from the school, you can. Mommy doesn't like the game. Sorry, guys, that's my boy. He's reporting the mom to me. Hey, boys are reporting moms to their daddy. It's interesting. All right. So you want to be able to write to the schools to waive application fee for you. So different schools, there are a lot of schools that waive application fee for students. In fact, some schools, what they will ask you to do is to send your credentials so that they measure, they look at what you have, your strengths, and then they decide if they will waive the application fee for you or not. I have friends who have passed through that kind of situation, and they got the application fee waived for them, and they got the full funding from the school. In fact, full funding, the fullest funding of all that I've seen. Okay, so in US has a lot of money that they put into research, and it is to pay people like you who will work in the field, who will work in the lab, okay, and of course to buy other things and the like. So you want to write to some of the schools, they can waive it for you. Now, some of other requirements like GRE, TOEFL, this and that, based on the schools you have discovered, you can of course write them to, especially TOEFL, which is proof of English examination. You can ask them to waive it for you, okay, because we are Nigerians, we speak English, okay, which is our natural language, which is what we speak officially. So you can ask them to waive it for you, and I've seen a lot of people who got it waived for them, a lot of people. So it's not a big deal. I made a video on it showing different samples of emails that can be written to get GRE, TOEFL, whatever, get it waived. I've seen a lot of people who had it waived for them. Okay, so next thing you want to do is to start preparing your statement of purpose. So if you follow the steps up to this point, by now you should have had, like, let's say 10 schools that you are interested in. 10 or 15 schools. So every time you open your spreadsheet, you have that 10 or 15 schools that you've seen their requirements. You've seeked either, oh, I have this document, I can easily get this document, I have my exam scheduled for XYZ date, this and that. So you already have that 10 schools. You have contacted Professor XYZ, this number of professors and the like. So you have it in that form already. Okay, so next thing, you want to craft your compelling statement of purpose. Now, when you are crafting your statement of purpose, you have to craft it specifically to each of the schools you are applying to. So you see, when I talk about you need 1 year ahead of time to prepare, it's not an exaggeration, because it is what you have to do. Because you are not applying to a body, you have to write something like that. Okay, so your SOP is what you really need. Because some people think SOP is not really compulsory. I mean, it's just optional. No, you can write anything that you want. SOP is not optional. You have to be intentional about it. Let me say it again. SOP is not optional. You have to be intentional about it. And this is because everything they want to, they will know about you, or most of the things they will know about you will be from your SOP. Remember, you have submitted your transcript. Of course, some of the things you want to find out is if the school requires you to make an evaluation of your transcript or not, West evaluation, not West evaluation. You want to apply to. Okay, I will talk about how to reduce fund that your money to be spent um, very soon. So in your SOP, all the documents you have submitted, let's say GRE, you wrote GRE, it's exam, your grades, all those things. SOP is an opportunity to expatiate more on some of these things and to talk about your experience and talk about the skills you have gained. Okay, SOP is an avenue to be able to do that. SOP gives you that opportunity, that avenue to be able to do that. So in your SOP, you want to include your skills. Of course, you start your paragraph one with your motivation for what you want to study, the background knowledge in your field. Okay, what is motivating you to go into this line of research? You want to do this? I want to be a toxicologist. I'm interested because I lived in an area where there is a problem of pipe-borne water. We don't have clean water. People use about toxicology, blah, blah, blah. So that introduction, you want to write it beautifully well. A lot of people have problems with introduction. I made a video on SOP writing where I broke it into paragraph, what you should write in each paragraph, and that video, a lot of testimonies on that. So you want to find that and then go through it. Very important, very important. So you want to write down your paragraph one of your SOP beautifully. Paragraph two talks about what you have done after that. Okay, after you found out that this is your interest, this is what you want to do. What did you do? Where did you go for undergraduate studies? You went to undergraduate studies. So what did you learn? What experience have you gained? What course has formed the core background for you for what you are doing? Which of the courses has made or gave you the background knowledge that you need to be able to study at postgraduate level? Okay, so you want to be able to identify some of these. You want to be able to know to and say it there explicitly and make it clear there. Okay, and of course in that process you want to talk about the skills you have gained too, maybe programming skills, maybe research skills, the equipment you have worked with, how you have been able to work with the equipment, blah blah blah. You want to make that paragraph two. Sometimes it becomes so much, you break it into paragraph three. Paragraph four, you want to talk about this new research you're interested in that you want to do. Okay, you want to talk about this school you're applying to, this department, this specific unit you're applying to, this specific group you're applying to. You want to be able to talk about that. Okay, in the next paragraph, maybe paragraph three or paragraph four, depending on how you're writing. And then maybe the fifth paragraph, or you want to talk about your future goals, what you want to do afterwards. You want to be a lecturer, you want to work in the industry to be able to impact this and that, blah, blah, blah. You want to talk about that. Your SOP is very, very important. In fact, some schools will say that your perceived the perceived discrepancies in your documents, you should address it in your SOP. So sometimes you really need to do that and address it in your SOP. Very, very, very important, and address it in your SOP. So once you have your SOP, you have it reviewed, you have all those things going on, then you also want to meet your recommenders to write recommendation letters for you. Recommendation letters are very important. You can speak to your strengths. Who can say as a graduate student, who can say, oh, I can vouch for Samuel, he's going to be a good graduate student. He has a mental capacity for graduate studies. He's not going to run away from graduate studies. And the person will say, based on my interaction with him, based on the experiences I've had with him. Okay, so this must be someone who can speak your research strength. And the person can be either your lecturer, your professor, the person can be your supervisor when you were doing internship. The person can also be from your place of work where you are doing what is similar to what you are studying now. That person can be from person can come from there. Okay, that person must be able to speak to your strength. Now let me give you an illustration. Someone who is in biology, for example, who is a professor in biology, cannot speak to my strength as a physicist. as a physics student, okay, someone who is in biology cannot speak to my strength as a physics student. So I've had people ask me this question. I have it's so difficult to get recommendation letter of recommendation in my department. I have an uncle who is a professor in economics. I'm in biology, but I have this uncle professor in economics. Can professor write for me? No, the best the person can write for you is a weak recommendation letter, because the person does not have the background knowledge to be able to speak to your strengths. Okay, so that's one of the things you want to ensure in the SOP, that the person writing for you is qualified to speak to your strengths. Okay, what in whatever you are doing, the person is qualified to speak to your strength. That's very, very important. Okay, whoever is writing for you must be qualified to speak to your strengths. That's very important. Not just anybody can write for you. They must be qualified to speak to your strength. Okay. So for example, I still have someone who met me today and was saying, can you help me to write recommendation letter for me? And I was telling the person, I'm not qualified to speak to your strength. Um, it's just not possible. I don't even know this person. I think that was even the first time I'm saying the person. Okay, and the person say, can you write for? I can't speak to your strength. I don't have that qualification to speak to your strength. Okay, I don't have that qualification to speak to your strength and what you are doing. It must be someone who is qualified to be able to speak to your strength. That's the person you need to be able to write for. And it's because many people see recommendation letter as just it's just one of those things. They don't really. They just want someone who can just say anything. Someone who can just say anything. No, they are not just looking for someone who can just say anything. They are looking for someone who is qualified to speak to your strength and can speak good to your strength. Now, some people also in Nigeria, for example, we have this grade of assistant lecturer, lecturer one, lecturer two. It's good if you people with higher ranking writing for you. That's good. It shows the expertise of the person. That's good. It's one of the things they will look out for. But you want someone ultimately who will write something positive about you and something very strong about you. Okay, so you don't want a professor writing for you. Well, I believe it would be, let's say a professor is writing, he should be able to cope with the rigor of graduate study. It should be able to cope. It's different from someone writing, I am strongly persuaded that he will excel in his graduate studies. That's totally different. The one is someone just giving the statement of probability, like I believe, like he should be able to cope. He should be able. What does it even mean? And this is another person who is giving a strong opinion. So if an assistant lecturer will give a very positive and very strong opinion about you, it's better than a professor who will give a weak recommendation, who will write a weak recommendation for you. Okay, so that is what you want. You want someone who will write something very strong for you. Some today, and I just finished a meeting. Share it on your timeline. It's very, very important. All right. And I've talked about the different steps, starting from searching out for schools, making a spreadsheet. I know Prince has helped us with a spreadsheet before sometimes ago, making a spreadsheet, the school requirements, and then you are ticking all those requirements that you have, and then you are preparing for exam, GRE, TOEFL, depending on what. I've also talked about writing code emails, and then how to. Some people don't even know how to find professors' email address, and those are some of the questions I receive. It's funny, but that's one of the questions I receive. I made a video specifically on that because I've been receiving questions on that. If I have time, I will share some of those videos to this jumbotron so that you can see it based on the question that has been asked. That will be asked. I also explain in detail how to really, really search for schools that have funding for you. I explain that in details too. Of course, if there are questions based on that, I will still answer it. And then I've talked about writing to schools to waive application fee. for you, or some requirements for you. I've talked about that too, which is very, very important. Very, very important. So, next step, after you have done this, you've written your SOP, you've gotten a professor who will write for you, who will write recommendation letter for you. You've gotten your transcript. Or another question people will ask is, what should I do? Should I use official transcript or unofficial transcript? Most of those schools, they will tell you what they need. If it's official transcript, they will tell you in that case, the school will have to send it directly to them. Okay. If it's unofficial transcript, it will be what you get from your school, and then you can submit it yourself. A lot of schools accept unofficial transcript, a lot of schools, but for many schools, you will still have to submit official transcript when you get your admission. Okay, you still have to submit that official transcript when you get your admission. Very, very important. Very, very, very important. Okay, so the choice is yours depending on the school you have attended, or how easy it is for you to get your, what do you call it now, your transcript from your school. For some people, it's not easy. Once they get down official, they're like, oh, finally, and then they continue to use it everywhere. Okay, so you have to be able to decide which one to use. So, and some schools will even require to do West evaluation of your transcript. The West evaluation of your transcript, of course, will mean you have to spend more. You spend more money to evaluate that. For those who have more money, you can do that. Of course, in the light of naira to dollar to naira rates, it's discouraging for a lot of people. But I know a lot of people who are still doing it, who are still evaluating their transcript. And there are advantages, so to speak, in evaluating your transcript, because in Nigeria, there are few schools, I think only UIM and maybe another school now, I don't know, that operates on the 4.0 level. In the US, transcript is evaluated on the basis of 4.0. So you need it to be evaluated and turned from, for those who are doing 5.0. UI used to do 7.0. For those who are doing 5.0, they need to turn the scale back to 4.0. And you can't just do a calculation and say, oh, 3 over 5 times 4. No, it doesn't work that way. They have to do a thorough evaluation. And one of the beauty of doing West evaluation, for example, is the fact that there are some courses in school. Then if you fail in Nigeria, for example, you fail a particular course, in your transcript the course will still be there, but they will use zero to do the calculation for you, so it reduces your CGPA. But when you do a West evaluation of your transcript, they won't use that. They will remove it and use the replaced course, the other course which you have done, to replace that failed course, and that's what they will use to calculate your transcript. And it makes your CGPA to look as if it went up, actually, like it increased. So you see many people who didn't have very good results in their original transcript from their school. When they do West evaluation, it seems as if they have more than 3.0 out of 4, which is what many school requires. Okay, so for some people, it's usually better for them to do a West evaluation of your transcript, and that will mean applying to schools that actually require a West evaluation of your transcript. There are a lot of schools that don't require evaluation of your transcript. Some just request for unofficial, some just request for official directly from your school. They will do all those calculations themselves. But depending on what you have on ground, the money you have on ground, all those pressure, it will determine what you will actually choose and go for. And after all this, what's the next thing you do? You simply apply. You simply apply. Number one thing is you want to make sure you apply way ahead of the deadline. Very important. For example, if you're interested in fall 2025 now, many schools will open application portal in around October, September, October. In fact, some of them will do free application when they open their portal. They will do, some schools will do what we call a free application week. Some will do free application day. Some, in fact, there's a school that will do 1 month, full 1 month for free application. So during those periods, you can apply to the school freely. You won't have to pay anything. So you want to make sure you start preparing your document now. One common question is, when should I start preparing? I will say now. Now is the time to start preparing. You don't need to wait. Now is the time to start mailing schools. So it's the time to start mailing potential advisors. Now is the time to start mailing those who are important. Now is the time to start writing your GRE, your TOEFL, whatever you want to write. Now is the time to start that preparation. Okay, it's very, very, very important. You don't need to wait. You don't need to wait. You don't need to wait. Start preparing now. So deadline for many schools is in, for some schools December, for some schools late November, some schools early January, some schools late December, some schools mid December, some schools early January, some schools mid January 2025, some schools it will be ending of January, some schools it will be early March. Okay, few schools in mid March and the likes. So you have to start preparing your applications now. You don't have to wait. You start preparing now. You don't have to wait for anything. So this gives you a whole lot of time to prepare, a whole lot of time to prepare, because you want your admission to come to you latest March, April in 2025, so that you can start preparing for your visa application too. Because sometimes now it takes a lot to get date for visa interview. Those in Africa and other parts of Africa will understand that. All right, let me pause for now and pick some questions. There are some questions already on YouTube, so I'll quickly go through that while expecting on Twitter. If you have a question, you can request for the mic. I'll give you the mic to ask your question. But in the meantime, let me go to uh, YouTube to pick some questions. Then while we are answering questions, I'll also talk about BEA scholarships. For those who are not aware, BEA scholarship is one of the scholarships managed by the Federal Scholarship Board of Nigeria. And then in that scholarship, what it simply means that there is a bilateral agreement between Nigeria and some countries like Russia, countries like Ukraine, at least before the war in Ukraine, countries like Hungary, countries like Morocco, Algeria, and I think which other country in Africa? There is one more country in Africa, I've forgotten. Morocco, Algeria, um, I think Egypt, I'm not sure, but at least 2 or 3 countries in some other countries in those other regions. But the long and short of the story is that the federal government of Nigeria has failed to pay these people, these students, for the past 11 months. Okay, the federal government has not paid them for the past 11 months, which is very terrible for the past 11 months. And the children are suffering a lot. Some of them are having accommodation issues, some of them can't even feed. It's very terrible. And for me, BA is not a scholarship I even advise people to take ordinarily before. But again, some people, because there is nothing on grad, that's just the only option they have, and they have to take that scholarship. And some of the agreements of the scholarship is that you cannot work. It's not like US, for example, where you can work for 20 hours. I know that's one of the questions some people will still ask. In the US, you have the opportunity of working for 20 hours per week. But if you already have an assistantship, that has been classified as your working hours, because you either teach or do research. You either teach or do research, and that covers 20 hours per week of your week. That covers 20 hours already. Okay, so that's the assistantship for you. It covers that. All right, let me pick these questions from YouTube and then give answers to that while people request for the mic to ask questions. So Johnson is saying, please, I need your insight on one part of my wife JS160. Who is sponsoring your trip? For me, I wrote my uni course, I got fully funded. But for my department, I don't know what to put. School took care of only 3K for her. My personal savings 4K. My family. Who is sponsoring her? Okay, so Johnson, it can be you. You can put you if you're in the US already. It's easy to just put you as the sponsor. It's very possible. You can be the sponsor, you can be your wife's sponsor. Okay, who is trip? It's not necessarily the stay there, it's just a trip. Even if she's the one sponsoring the trip, she can put it there as she's the one sponsoring the trip. Okay, Obo, you are just greeting me, boss. Good evening. I greet you too, Sadikamin Obo. I greet you. I greet you. All right, all right. Back to Twitter. Nee, let's have you. You can unmute yourself. Our Ghanaian folk, our Ghanaian brother. You can unmute yourself. Let's have you. Yes, you can unmute yourself. You are muted now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I trust we are all doing fine. And like you said, I'm a Ghanaian, so hi to everyone from Ghana. I've been following you for some time now, and I think you are doing some great work.
Thank you.
My question is that I applied somewhere, yes, last year, December, for school, and the feedback, I've not got really gotten feedback. The last two rounds that came through, the feedback was the same, that I was on waiting list till now. So what do you think is the issue? Is there a probability that I would gain admission, or I should just forget about it? I need your thoughts on that. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So waiting list basically mean that they will consider you if one of the folks there who were also admitted rejects the offer. So for them not to consider you eventually probably means everyone went along with the offer. They took the scholarship, and for you to be on waiting list, what you are very close to this, to getting at least one offer. You are very, very, very close to getting at least one offer, because if your application is not catchy, not impressive, you won't even get to the waiting list. Okay, so I'll say don't give up. That's the first thing I'll say. Don't give up. This simply means you are close to getting an offer. But of course, what it simply means, if they have not gotten back to it, simply means that they didn't, there is nobody who rejected the offer for you to replace. But if someone had rejected an offer, you probably would have replaced the person as one of those on the waiting list. Okay, because many schools, when they give out offers, they know that students apply to many schools, right? Students apply to some schools, don't apply to up to 10, 15 schools. Okay, and then they will have to choose one. It's possible they get multiple offers and they will have to choose one definitely. So the schools usually have backup plan in case students come back to reject the offer and then they didn't take it. So they usually have backup plan, and those on the waiting list are usually the backup plan. But I'll say don't be discouraged. For you to get to this level means you are close by. You are close by. Don't be discouraged. Okay. And I also advise when you're applying to schools, mix what's the word now? Make it a mixture of schools with top ranking school, middle ranking school, low ranking school, so to speak. Low ranking school in US is not like they are doing bad thing. It's just that there must be a ranking. That's it. And some schools we have to be at the top, some schools we have to be below, so to speak. It's not as if they are bad schools. Okay. So even some low ranking schools may be the best in some other courses. They may be the best in, let's say, political whatever, best in education, blah blah blah. So don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're very much welcome. All right, another question on YouTube. Let me read this. Adewale is asking, so please, what's your recommendation uh for someone who was given a partial scholarship of 58K and now has a deficit of 27K. There is a company standing in to support the deficit for visa applications. Hmm, hmm. Well, if the person can prove that the company is the reason why the company is really sponsoring him, if the person can prove the purpose, okay, and say this company is trying to take care of my deficit because I'm important to them in certain ways, because I'm important to them in certain ways, then I think that's fine. Because what the VO will want to say is this: um, how come the company is trying to sponsor a whole $27,000, because it's not a small money. So the VO will want a proof, like what does the company stand to gain? So, for example, some companies actually sponsor people to study abroad, and the reason is because the person, when the person comes back, the person is coming back with knowledge that is applicable to the company, and we continue working with the company, even get higher roles and the like. So, if you can prove that the company is doing that for your sake, that's possible, because 27K is not small. It's not small. I must say, 27K is not small. All right. While waiting for the next set of questions, let me quickly talk about the Nigerian scholars and then correlate it with what's going on in the US. Now, in the US, I think I've mentioned that there are scholarships, funding, full funding scholarships for you in the form of assistantships. Okay. I've also mentioned that assistantship can take different forms. Assistantship can take the form of teaching assistantship, it can take the form of research assistantship, and of course, there's a third one which can be administrative assistantship. Now, in the US, you're allowed to work 20 hours per week. 20 hours per week. Um, and the money they are paying you is they are paying you like which you are receiving as a stipend is as a direct result of what you are doing as an assistantship, as a teaching assistant or research assistant. Okay, so when you're a teaching assistant, what you will do is you'll be given teaching duties. The teaching duties may include teaching labs for students, teaching, doing demonstrations for students and those stuff, understand, doing all those things. Those can be some of the responsibilities that you will be given. You are demonstrating for students. You might be teaching recitation classes, just helping a professor to teach, and they'll be paying you. When you are a research assistantship, it still does not differ so much from the research you are doing. You are assisting your professor. Okay, you are assisting your professor in research, and you are being paid. But the BEA scholars, those who got the BEA bilateral scholarship, I explained the bilateral scholarship just now. There is a bilateral agreement between countries. So Nigeria has a bilateral agreement with, let's say, Russia, Hungary, Morocco, Algeria, and some other countries. And the agreement is okay, Nigeria will send scholars to those countries. The country will take care of their tuition. Okay, that was the agreement. Oh, sorry, Adewale, you can check my email from this channel. You are already on the channel, on the YouTube channel already. You can check my email there. It's attached to it somewhere there. So, sorry guys, back to the BEA story. So each country will take care of the scholar's tuition fee. So, for example, if Nigeria sends scholars, I then give find scholars from Nigeria and they tell the government of Russia, these are our scholars. So when those scholars get to Russia, the government of Russia will take care of their tuition, the students' tuition fee. And Nigeria as a country is expected to take care of the scholars' stipends. Okay. So, for example, Nigeria currently money every month to take care of for the upkeep, to take care of their transportation, their feeding, their accommodation, and the likes. But currently, Nigeria is failing our scholars. Nigeria is failing our BA scholars because for the past 11 months, they've not paid them a dime for the past 11 months. Whereas the government of these other countries are fulfilling their part of the bargain. They are fulfilling their part of the bargain. They are paying the tuition, everything. They're continuing with the tuition and all these things. But Nigeria, that is meant to just take care of stipend, is not taking care of the scholars. And this has become a big problem to the scholars. This has become an issue of international embarrassment to Nigeria too. And it's a big shame on the country. It's a big shame on the country. Big shame on the country that we are not able to provide for our scholars. We don't take the education as very serious. So I'm telling anyone on this platform, if anyone is thinking of the BEA scholarship, even though the selection is also very shabby, but if anyone is thinking of the BEA scholarship, before you take that scholarship, make sure that you have people in Nigeria who can be sending you money monthly, or people somewhere now, because you will not be able to work. Unlike the US, where you have the opportunity of working 20 hours per week, in these countries you will not be able to work. Okay, because it's part of the terms and agreements when you are going that you won't be working. It's part of the terms and agreement that you won't be working, and the students sign these things. So they are not expected to work ordinarily. And many of them are even overwhelmed with the study, because you have to study the language first. They are not studying in English. They have to study the language of that country first, and the lectures are in that language. So many of them, when they study, when they do class, they have to go back home to interpret, to try to translate it to the language they understand before they can actually study. So it takes a lot of time. So if anyone falls into that category, like you find yourself getting that scholarship, please and please, before you take that scholarship, think twice. Think twice. For many people, it will be a last option. It will be the last option, last resort. But if you have other options, I beg, take that one first before you think about BEA scholarship. Okay, let me go to another question from YouTube. If you want to ask questions on Twitter, just request for the mic. I'll give you the mic. Let me pick another question from YouTube. Umbarak, you're saying thank you for the info. Please, can you talk about F2 visa, dependent visa? Is it possible for my spouse to go with me? And what is the success rate specifically for US? Okay, so you want me to talk about F2 visa. All right. So if you get to study in the United States, the type of visa which you will get is what we call F1 student visa. Okay, the type of visa is called F1 visa. So every F1 visa holder has the opportunity to bring their dependents. Okay, either you are doing masters or PhD, it does not matter. You have the opportunity to bring your dependents. Okay, and when you bring your dependent will study on F1. Your dependent will study on F1. So your dependent will study on F1. Sorry, your dependent will be on F2 rather. You are studying on F1 visa. Your dependent will be on F2 visa. And there are a lot of questions about from people. Should we go to the embassy together to apply? Should I go first? Should I not go first? Many people consider it a good option for the F1 holder to go first and prepare the ground, and then for the F2 holder to apply later. But of course, people go together too, and they get it and they come together, and then they rough it all together, and then they're able to find their balance. Okay, so it's possible. It depends on money, the money you have. Most of the times, the school will not give funding for the dependents. The F1 holder, we have to look for a way of getting funding for dependents. Daddy, are you done? Not yet. Come back. So many times the F1 holder, we have to get a way of getting fund for the dependent, and dependent can be your spouse or your children. Okay, and the more the number, the more the amount of money you need to be able to prove to the visa official that you can take care of your dependents in the United States. Okay, so of course, some schools have a lot of money and they give funding for dependents. I've seen that a lot of times. The schools just give funding for the old dependents too, and then they apply and they get it. So, and I've seen people who went to the embassy together, applied F1 and F2 visa together, and they got it. I've also seen those who went alone and they got it, and the wife or the husband went later and got it. And I've also seen those who were rejected too. So it's a lot. It depends on a lot of things. Acceptance or rejection depends on a lot of things. But one of the big things that it's dependent on is the money, because the visa official wants to be sure that you have the amount of money required to be able to take care of your dependent in the US, knowing that in the US dependents are not allowed to work. Okay, dependents are not allowed to work. They are not allowed to work. So to answer your question, Barak, yes, it is possible for your spouse to go with you. It's possible. What's the success rate? I can't put a percentage to it. I just know that I've seen a lot of people get accepted and I've seen some get rejected. In fact, this during this period, I think most of the people I know got accepted during this period. There was a time the rejection was so bad, but during this period, I've been seeing a lot of acceptance for F2 visa. So it all depends on you. It all depends on you. All right. So for those who are just joining in, we've been talking about steps to full scholarships in the US, and now the Nigerian government has failed our BEA scholars bilateral agreements which they have with many countries in the world. They are failing. They are failing. They've not paid the students for 12 months. So I'm warning anyone, if you find yourself almost turning towards this scholarship, BEA scholarship. Mark that name very well. BEA scholarship. If you don't have anyone who can send you money monthly from Nigeria or from your country, or this for Nigeria anyway, don't take it, because they will suffer you. They will make you suffer. A lot of those students in those foreign countries are suffering currently. Some of them were evicted from their houses because they could not pay accommodation fee. And we have our own politicians spending billions upon billions on cars, on SUVs, on things that are not needed, things that are not necessary. So that scholarship, I beg you, if you don't have people who can send money to you, please don't take it. Don't even apply for it. Don't even go for it. It's better to be in a country where you have your family around you and you can always go to them, than to be in a place suffering where you are not allowed to work. Even if you are able to, so even if you say you want to break the law and work, you don't understand the language, all those things, all those things are there. You can start working, it will definitely affect your grades, and then if it affects your grade, you'll be pushed off the scholarship. So a very terrible thing. And of course, we have also talked about the steps to the full scholarship, the full funding in the US. And I mentioned from the beginning, it all starts from searching for the school. And I mentioned there are over 3,000 schools in the US, each of them having some form of funding or the other. And what you need to do is to search for each of the schools and look for scholarships. In each of the schools, look for assistantship in each of the schools. And I mentioned that when you want to search, the right keyword, a good keyword to use when you're searching is assistantship, because you want to target US. If you're targeting US, use the keyword assistantship. US is just one of the few countries, most likely one of the few countries where assistantship is the most common form of funding. In other countries, you see some form of scholarship in that regard, but in the US, the most common form of funding is assistantship. So when you are doing your search on Google, on wherever you're searching on, you want to use the keyword assistantship. You want to use the keyword assistantship. For example, if you're searching for chemistry, just type chemistry assistantship. If you're searching for religious studies, just type religious studies assistantship. Very important. All right, Olusegun, you have the mic. You can ask your question.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Thank you
evening.
for this privilege, sir. This is my question. I'm a guy of history with a long study gap, sir. And I don't know, probably it's just possible for someone with study gap to secure a full funding or assistantship for MSc program in the US. Sir. So I don't know if you can say one or two things help to go about it, sir.
So you are
Thank you, sir.
talking, you said you have a study gap.
Yes.
You mean, so, and by study gap, you mean you did BSc, let's say in 2008, and then you are, no, 2000 and
12. That was my graduation year, sir.
2012. Now you want to do
Yes.
MSc, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's not impossible. There are a lot of people who are doing it. What you just must be able to do is to prove what you've been doing within those years, how relevant it is now. And a good way to do about it is you just to be able to talk about all the research skills trend that you've gained over the years and the research experiences that you've gained over the years. But yeah, people with study gaps are getting admission, they are getting funding. Yeah,
All right. Thank you, sir.
you're very much welcome. Which course again?
History and diplomatic studies, but I still maintain the same course because currently I'm working in the secondary school as history teacher.
Okay, okay. Okay. Yeah, so it's possible. It's possible. It's what you can do. You are even a teacher. Yeah, so it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You can actually do it. You can do it.
Thank you, sir.
You're very much welcome. Of course, all you just need to do is to be able to explain it in your SOP, what you've been doing. You've been an history teacher or a history teacher, and then things you've done over the years, research you've even done as a teacher. Like, of course, you'll find a way to link it to your teaching, what you've done, link it to your teaching, what you want to do. So it's fine. It's fine. All right, Mujib, you can ask your question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother.
Thanks for the privilege to ask questions, sir. I'm
You are
really grateful.
you're very much welcome.
Yes, sir. I'm a fresh graduate. In fact, I've not gone to service. So, do you think I can apply this year? Will it be possible to get admission into the US? Because I've not done GRE, I've not done TOEFL. In fact, my transcript is not ready yet. I believe it will be ready before October or November, you mentioned. Do you think I can still produce to apply to different schools?
Yes, I strongly believe. I strongly believe because if I have known people, there's someone I even know when he came into the US, he was still doing his NYSC in Nigeria when he got full funding. Was it full funding? I can't remember. But when he got admission, I still remember I went to pick him. I was driving him around town that time. He has graduated now. He has an MSc now. He has graduated and is working currently, working in one of the top companies. He's earning a lot of money now. He's a big boy now. So yes, it's very possible. And when he came 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, I think he was still doing his NYSC in Nigeria, and he left the NYSC. So with your transcript, what you really need is your transcript. And then if you notice, if you search out for schools and you realize you have to write GRE, what you should do now is to register for GRE now and start preparing. Okay, so
Okay,
that
sir.
if you plan a 3 month, if you do a 3 month plan, preparatory plan for GRE, let's say 3 months, this is May, June, July, August. You set your GRE for either ending of August or early September or mid-September. You write your GRE, you have time to study, pass your GRE, you have your transcript by then. You start applying by October, November, December. You start applying. Transcript is what you need to apply from the school.
So, sir, what if I'm not able to come up with the fee for the GRE? What if I want to apply without GRE? Do you think it is possible to get admission?
Yeah, so some schools don't require GRE. So if you find schools that do not require GRE, that don't want to use GRE at all, there are a lot of schools like that. In fact, many schools in the US are moving towards not using GRE now. Yes, there are schools like that. Just find out, just look out for the schools. So remember what I said from the beginning. It's even good that I remember you.
All right.
So choose school. So
Thanks so
remember,
much, sir.
it takes a lot of effort to search. And I mentioned the fact that you will have to create a spreadsheet and do all these things. So,
I have that already, sir.
oh, that's good. That means you sound like someone who is very serious. That's good. That's good. That's
So
good.
I have even started searching for schools, but I still can't find my way.
What's your course?
Agricultural environmental engineering.
You are now saying you can't find schools. If I go online like now, within 1 minute, I will bring out schools for you.
So I've been seeing schools, but just the requirement that is giving me headaches.
The requirement, they all require GRE.
Yeah, I've been seeing schools that require GRE.
Then you have to search more. If you can't search more, then you have to probably think of writing GRE.
Okay, sir. Thanks so much, sir.
You are very much welcome.
Okay, sir.
You are very much welcome.
Sir, one more question, sir.
Okay.
So, do you think I stand high chance if I graduate with first class?
Of course, first class is the highest that you can have, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you graduated with first class.
Yes, sir.
You are very humble. See the way you are saying it. Do I stand high chance? Yes, you stand a high chance. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's the highest you can have. What else can you do? There is nothing. If people who have to stand a good chance, so you stand a good chance too, of course. So yes, and of course um you have to what course again did you do?
Agricultural and environmental
Yeah,
engineering.
so you have to improve with your skills to what you can do, because now it's going beyond just the grade. Remember, I mentioned that the grade is not the only thing they look at. They look at the whole thing. They look at your experiences, research experiences. They look at
Awesome.
your what do you call it now? They look at,
Publications. How many publications do you think I can have?
even
Like I'm
if you
planning
don't.
to publish my undergraduate thesis now.
Yes, publish it. That would be very good. But there is no hard and fast rule to that. People without publications are getting it too. Okay. So there's no hard
Okay,
and
sir.
fast rule to that. But it's a very good thing that you have publication. Just keep piling it. Those just keep building your profile. It's very important. Keep
All right,
building
sir.
your
All right.
profile. Very, very important.
All right,
If you
thanks, sir.
can use different equipment, those are the things you want to talk about in your SOP. If you can use, if you can write programming, if you have programming skills and the like, because these
So
are the things.
I'm a data analyst, sir.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. So you'll be fine. I tell you, you'll be fine.
All right, sir. Thanks so much, sir.
You're very much welcome.
Yeah.
And I hope you are not trying to run away from GRE because you had the first class. I faced
I'm
that
not
thing.
I'm not running away from it. In fact, I've been looking for a way to get money to do it, but I've not
Okay.
been.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I will still do it. I believe I will still do it. If I'm not able to get admission this year, probably I'll do it next year before the application time.
Okay. 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 That's good. That's good. All
All right,
right.
sir.
Yeah. Good. 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 All right. Let's have Juggernaut. You can unmute yourself. Let's have you.
Yeah, good day, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Whatever
Good
time.
evening.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just joined this case actually, and I like a few minutes ago, so I was listening to the questions you've been answering, and I must commend you, sir. You have been doing a very great job, sir. Well done, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I've been here for some months now. I've been working. My contract is for 2 years. So I've been thinking after these 2 years, I'd like to further for my master's. So I've started doing my research and everything. So I just want to know, is it possible that I'm able to secure a scholarship probably when I'm still here and maybe defer like the whole session to resume after my contract will be over? Because it's a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
It won't be over until next year, around September. So I would like to know what do you think and how best can you advise me with this? Because I really want to do my master's. I want to further my studies.
So you said the contract won't be over until next year, September?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now even for fall application, if you start now, the resumption will not be until next year, August. So even if you start now and do everything, the resumption will not be until next year, August. And you can always write to your school if you want to get a delay just to resume late, maybe resume in September. You can ask them to give you the opportunity, and they will give you the opportunity to resume in September. That's one thing you can do. You can use another option and defer the admission to spring. That's another option for you. So all the applications now, remember I mentioned, okay, you said you didn't start from the beginning. I mentioned that the application process for US usually take like 1 year. It's not what you just quickly rush to do and the like. It usually take like 1 year. Okay, so I think you will still be in line if you start now. You will just have maybe a lag of 1 month. Some schools will resume maybe August 20 something. Okay, and if your application ends September, you may want to, you can beg the school. I've seen people in that situation, they had to speak to the school, and the school allowed them to resume maybe 1 month late or 1.5 month late. The school allowed them. And even if the school will not allow you, you can just defer it to spring. Spring is January session. So you can wrap up well September, October, then you prepare for your journey in December, and then you resume school in January. So that's also a possibility.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, grateful, sir.
You are very much welcome. You are very much welcome. Okay, I have a question on YouTube. Let me quickly take that one. Dikpo, you are asking, saying thank you for the amazing job. Yeah, thank you. I secured partial funding. Please, what other options can be explored to obtain full funding? Okay, Dikbo, there are a lot of options that can be explored. I made a whole video on this, and since you are on YouTube, it's a very good idea that you go through that video. But let me just mention some of the things that I mentioned in that video. Uh, Speak with your department. I've seen a lot of people. I gave different example of different people I've seen. But speak with your department if they will allow you to pay that. Um, that's what do you call it now? Deficits in parts. If they allow you to pay it in part or in installments, rather, you can speak with them if they allow. Sometimes schools also find scholarship for students eventually. Okay, well, I've seen a situation where someone was meant to pay a certain deficit, and after a while, the department just kept um, giving the person funding, just kept giving the person funding. The person will pay a part. At the point, the department will say, "Oh, we found this scholarship for you." So when you get to the US, there are little scholarships that you can look for around. Very little. Some may be just 5,000. Some may be $5,000, $10,000. Some may be $3,000, $2,000. Different scholarships in that way you can help you offset the fund. But again, it's not what you can depend on entirely. Before you can take it, you need to have your own funding first to say, okay, this is what I will use. Then when you get there, you can start looking out for in that manner. Um, and another option may be if the school just gave you funding and they didn't call it assistantship, where you will work. Okay, the school may help you. You may see department may help you. You secure a place in school where you work, and then they can collate all the amounts you will pay in a certain year together and work with the international office, and they will include it in your I-20. It will come as funding in your I-20. So it will be like an addition to the funding that you have. Okay, so there are different other options which I mentioned in that video. I would want you to search for that video talking about funding options. I wish I'm not using two screen here. I would have just sent you that video straight away now. But since you're on YouTube, search that the YouTube channel. You will see that video on funding. Just search, is it funding or something? It's a top. It's very obvious. You'll see it there. You can search YouTube, put my name, just search the name of the, just search funding, type funding options on YouTube, then put my name. You should be able to find that video. Yeah, you should be able to find the video. But these are just some of the things I mentioned. And I also gave examples of people I know who went through some of those options. I hope that answered your question, Deepwa. All right, all right, all right. Um, Franny Botchway. Okay, Franny, let's have you. You can unmute yourself, ask your question.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, Butchie from Ghana.
Oh, good evening.
My question is about the recommendation letters.
Yeah.
I have a background in hospitality management, but then after school, I worked as administrative and teaching assistant at the College of Distance Education at my university.
Okay.
So, I'm interested in applying for master's program in higher education or student affairs. So I don't know if it would be best to get recommendation letters from the College of Distance Education where I did my national service, or I should get them from my department, from my lecturers.
Okay. So I get your question. Yeah. So
okay, thank you.
So what I would say is this: your lecturers, of course, yes, because many schools will say first and foremost that when they request for 3 recommendation letters, many of them will say 2 of those letters should be academic. So automatically you have no choice but to still speak to your lecturers. And what they will, of course, talk about will be your strength, academic strength in what you have done before. Okay, and they will use that to project and say they know that you'll be able to do well in what you want to do, and they will give their very strong opinion of you. Okay, and then if the school did not require anything of that, saying two must be academic in nature, then you can mix it and maybe get one from there. If it's not easy to get from your lecturers, then get two from your place of work. But I think you can get from either place, yeah, since they can speak to your strengths there. And what you are applying for is not necessarily in the same line with what you did as an undergraduate. But those lecturers will still be able to talk about what you have done before, and then use that to project that they know you will do well in what you want to do. Did that answer your question, Franny?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
You're very much welcome. All right, all right, all right. Uncle Sam, let's have you. Then after that, we'll have Chidi. Then we have Femi. So, Uncle Sam.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, so I just finished my degree, my BSc in biology, and I'm looking at doing a MSc in the States. But I'm not sure which course to pick. Like I don't know if you can help me with a small list of courses that I can like further proceed with my degree in biology. And secondly, is there like a list of schools where I can go and just explore the schools where I can just pick one from and then I just apply to?
Okay, so this is where I will answer your question. I'll just say, as I'm speaking, I'll just go on Google, type biology assistantship, and tell me what you find.
Okay.
Yeah, as we're talking now, just go on Google, just type biology, Google search, do a Google search, type biology, then type space assistantships.
All right, sir.
What do you see?
I'm on it, sir.
Okay, good, good. Because as I've said from the beginning, searching for schools is a lot of work, and you are the only one that knows what you can do. You are the only one that knows the courses you can do. You can't outsource it to someone else. Yeah, you can outsource it in the sense that the people will just assume, oh, you should be able to like this course, this and that. Yeah, that's possible. But again, you are the only one that knows what you are good at. You are the only one that knows the research area you want to go into. Okay, you are the only one that can say. So, what did you see when you type biology assistantships? Hello, Uncle Sam, are you still there? Okay, Uncle Sam is not there. When he gets his results, he will come back and tell us what he finds. But again, just like I've mentioned, searching for school is a tedious job. It's what you have to do yourself. Do we look for? Of course, I used to give out different schools. If you search my tweets, if you just search my page, just if you type biology, you will see schools. If you type physics, you see schools. If you type chemistry, you see a lot of schools. If you type public health, you will see schools. Just search on my profile only. You see a lot of schools. I do that, but again, I encourage people to search themselves too, because they are the only ones that can say, oh, this requirement from this school fits me. I love this requirement. This I can fulfill this requirement, blah, blah, blah. No one can really say that for you. All right, it seems his network is throwing him out. Chidi, the analyst, let's have you. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, good evening, Dr. Sam.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Sam, my challenge, I don't know. I actually finished undergraduate a long time ago, 2012.
Okay.
And I want to further now. But my fear is about study gap. I'm looking at applying for, see if I can get scholarship in schools in US now, considering that is about 12 years plus, about approximately 12 years that I left school. Would that be possible, or should I go and see if I can do masters here in Nigeria before I apply?
So
then also, second part of the question is about age. By the time I finish my masters, I'll definitely be close to 40. So I hope.
Able. Okay. Okay, I've seen that very well. So age, I honestly believe, will not be a barrier. At least on paper, they do not discriminate based on age, even though it may be possible that some may want to look at that, but on paper, it's not what they will be even proud to say they have done the discrimination. Okay, so it's not. No one should is discriminating based on age, because I've seen people who have lost studying here in the US. That's one thing I've seen. On the issue of the gap, I would say what you've done with that gap is what is very important. What you have done, the internship, the job, how related it is to what you are doing or what you want to study now, and all those things, motivation from all those things, they are very, very important. The skills you've gained during that period of time, very, very important. So that's what I would say. I would say don't let it stop you. Don't let it be a barrier to you. For some people, they find it more convenient to do a master's first in Nigeria so that they can say, oh, I did a master's last year, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's possible. It's what you can explore if you think you don't just want to apply for a PhD or it's another a master's directly in the US. It's an option that you can explore. But I would say don't let it stop you. Don't let it
Okay,
stop you.
okay. Because what I study physics.
Okay.
Yes, and then I work as a geophysicist now. Since
Okay.
then, from that 2012 till now.
Okay.
And I want to do my master's in and PhD in medical and radiation physics.
Okay. Okay.
That's the angle I'm looking at. So it's I don't know how they can link it. Even though geophysics is an aspect of physics, but the radiation and medical part is the other side.
Yeah. So
that's what that's my fear.
So it's not a problem. See, going into another field is not a problem. But your research experience, your work experience, just talk about what you have done in geophysics. It's part of physics, and then you introduce a new chapter in your a new paragraph in your SOP talking about why you want to do radiation and health physics now. Okay, so it's like saying I've done so type of research before, but this is what I want to do now. I have experience in this type of physics, but this is the type of physics I want to do now. And as a physics person with inside knowledge, let me say that don't put, if you want to do radiation and health physics in US, don't put all your eggs in the same basket. Radiation and health physics or medical physics in US is interdisciplinary. So what that means is they don't choose only from physics, they choose from other departments. They can choose from biology, they can choose from medicine, they can choose from anatomy to do radiation and health physics or medical physics. They can choose from radiography, okay, to do radiation and health physics or medical physics. And that means the number of slots they have for physics students is greatly reduced per schools. So it's usually more difficult to get into those programs, especially if you are adamant that that is the field you want to do. So I would say you have a backup plan, a backup unit that you can do, a backup option.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, you're very much welcome. All right, before we come to you, Femi, let me quickly pick this question from YouTube. So Princess is asking, she's saying she's preparing for 2025. Says, sir, please, I'm planning on going with my husband and kid. It will be 2 years soon. What should we put in place before going to the embassy as regards the children welfare? Thank you for. Okay, yeah. So if you have the admission already, Princess, you have the admission already. You have the I-20 already. You have all these things. Contact your school, okay, and talk about what do you call it now? And talk about kids facilities around, and talk about daycare. Okay, if you can get a daycare, just to show that you have contacted a daycare, you need to know what they are paying, the amount that you'll be paying per month. Depending on the states or the city, it can be $500, $600, $700, $800, maybe $400. If your school has a daycare, ask about the school's daycare too, okay? Usually there is a discount for students. So ask about the school daycare and then know how much you will be paying. Okay, so these are the information you need to get before you go to the embassy, princess. Because your child is 2 years old. Baby children don't start schooling in the US until they are five. Until they are five. So what they do from 0 to 5 is in daycare. That's where they spend their time. That's where many people stay, have their children stay with them at home. Okay, but that's what you want to do. You want to ask about daycare, and if you want to take care of the child at home, be prepared to talk about the fact that you guys are deciding to take care of the child at home. Okay, you guys should be prepared to say that if that's what you want to say, that oh, you are preparing to take care of the child at home since he won't be starting kindergarten until he is 5 years old. Okay, so that's what you want to say too. But if you are decided that you want him to go to daycare, find out about the daycare, what they are doing, how much they are collecting, and those things. Those are those information the VO will want to ask from you. All right, all right. So Queensley, let me also quickly pick a question from YouTube before I come back to Twitter. Queensley, you are saying, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the great advice you're providing us. I need your guidance about F2 visa for my two kids. They were previously refused. Queensley, check this and send me an email so that we can know the details of the refusal so we know what to do, how to plan ahead, how to go about it. Okay. Send me an email. You can find my email since you're on the YouTube page already. All right, Femi, you can unmute yourself. Let's have you. What is your question?
Thank you very much, sir. You're doing a great, fantastic, and a great job. Yeah. I studied computer science. I had first class in computer science.
Beautiful.
I've done my GRE. I scored 318, TOEFL 95, and IELTS 7.5.
Why did you do all the exams?
Sorry?
Why did you do all the exams? You even wrote TOEFL and IELTS.
Yes. I'm looking at just trying to have a stronger application.
Okay, because TOEFL and IELTS actually serve the same purpose. So you have to use one of the two.
And sometimes in my application, I use both.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, your question.
My question is, yeah. So I've been having this usual challenge that each time I send a cool mail to a professor, at the end they will accept me and they ask me to reply. In fact, one of the ones that struck me most was a recent one by University of Notre Dame by a professor who I had an interview. In fact, I had an interview with the committee and all, and they asked me to apply. After the application, I discovered that I was rejected. And University of Iowa, same, and a few other schools, I've gotten like 3 to 4 rejections, and I had only 2 acceptance. I'm actually applying for straight direct PhD because I don't have masters. So yeah, so I'm applying for direct PhD. So I've had like series of rejection, like 1 to 4, and I had just 2 acceptance, which are not even fully funded. So my question is, I don't know if there is anything I'm doing wrong in my application. I don't know. So I don't know if there are other steps or anything that is required for me. I got fully funded for Finland just of recent. In fact, I'm still in the process, and Luxembourg. But I'm just pertinent about the US. I don't know. Maybe it's my SOP or it's my recommendation. Because my recommendation, I do disturb them very well to help me to send, which they do because I do get replies once it is sent. But I don't know what is actually wrong with some of those applications that I'm getting rejections about.
Okay. So yeah, let me win. Number one, let me say for the opportunity fully funded offer you got in Finland and Luxembourg, don't let it waste. Okay, don't let it waste. Some of those countries can be a stepping stone to the US you're actually interested in. So don't let it waste. Number two, one of the reasons for rejection can also be the research area. It's possible that the research area you are putting in for, no one is doing or no one wants to work on it, or different things could go wrong in that regard. Like it can be the research area. And for you, for the main fact that you are getting interviews means that there is an interest in you already. So it's possible that there are other professors, other students who just rank above you, a little above you, and then they just go with such students. Okay, so that's also another option. I know Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a very big, a big school in a regard. I've been there before. I was there for a week. The bigger the schools, the higher the competition for those who are very smart, like the number of very high profile candidates who will apply there. Okay, so it may be that situation that they just rank above you, slightly above you, and they just choose those people, but it doesn't in any way indicate that you are a bad candidate at all. So I would say don't give up with the Finland and Luxembourg. Go full with it, either of them, and then you can use that as a stepping stone to the US. Because sometimes some schools, some departments in US, even though there is a general notion that or general idea that you use a BSc to MSc straight, some schools, some departments still require MSc, so to speak. So that let me use my department as an example. You cannot come from outside with BSc to do PhD in my department, for example. There are those who come in with BSc, but they take them in a program called a bridge program. And there are some special people that they created that program for. So those ones will come in a program called bridge program. But we do classes together, we do things together. And most of them, after 2 years, they can say, oh, we want to leave, and they just take masters and go. But there is an option for them to choose to remain and continue in the PhD program. And many of them choose to continue. Okay, so it's only those in the bridge program that are admitted for master. That are admitted uh, without MSc, so to speak. Let me see if I can remember. I think maybe one or two other folks from one or two other folks anyway, without with BSc, and they are domestic students, if I remember well. And that is peculiar to my department in my school. It's not the same thing for chemistry in my school, for example, and it's not the same thing for physics in some other schools, for example. Okay, so you have to understand the intricacies, but that can be a stepping stone for you. Did I answer your question, Femi?
Absolutely, sir.
Good, good, good. Congratulations to you on that. Let me quickly pick some question. Okay, so from YouTube, Princess, yes. So I think that can go. If you say the husband will be taking care at home, that's a very good option. That's possible. We have different folks who are in that type of category too. All right. So a question here from the comment section of the space session. Someone go, or even on my page, if you search chemistry on my page, you will see biochemistry and stuff on my page. Just go to Google, just search biochemistry or chemistry assistantships. A lot of funding for MSc program. What are you saying? There are a lot of funding. Oh. All right, Emmy Chris, you are saying your question. You are in Russia for MSc, and you intend to apply for another MSc in US. Do I think it's possible with the restrictions? Well. Uh, I'm not sure what the situation is. Okay. I'm not sure what the situation is, but yes, you can get a fully funded offer. The visa interview, I don't know if you want to do it in Russia. I'm not sure what the embassy is saying there, but at least for some folks, I know some are choosing to do it in Turkey to do their visa interview in Turkey, even though they studied in Russia. So, but I don't think it stops you from getting a fully funded offer in the US. But it's the visa interview. I don't know if the embassy is active or not. The US embassy in Russia. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I know what I know is that I know folks, or I know if someone in Russia who studied in Russia and wants to do interview, and they are looking towards doing it in Turkey. Okay, so maybe that is an option you can look towards to emigrate. That's an option. All right. So someone Chidalu is saying, let me go and also education is not for the poor. Yes, there's a lot of funding that goes into education, and we just hope that our country, Nigeria, will take education very serious. Please, I'm also still raising awareness for the BEA scholars. They've been, most of them are at the mercy of the government. The government, Nigerian government, is failing them. Absolutely failing them, failing them. They are meant to be receiving stipends from the government. For the past 11 months, the government of Nigeria has refused to pay them. The BEA scholars in Russia, in Hungary, in Morocco, Algeria, and some other countries. There is a bilateral agreement between the Nigerian countries, and these countries are fulfilling their part of the deal, taking care of the tuition of the students. But the Nigerian government is not taking care of the students, giving them stipends for their upkeep, for their accommodation, for their feeding. Many of them don't have accommodation. Many of them are now squatting with friends. And when the landlords find out that they are squatting people, they eject them. Then they start going about looking for who to squat with again, and those ones eject them again, and the cycle continues. Some of them, most of them now eat once in a day. I heard of a case recently of one of those students who fainted because she had not eaten. She could not even find things to eat. Many of them cannot even get accommodation to lecture, and it is that bad. And the Nigerian government is just giving them promises upon promises for 11 months, giving them promises upon promises. Please, any way you can lend your voice, maybe share, crop a part of this and then share it. I'm talking about it, or make a tweet on it. Or if you have a brother who is working with FSB or something, to disturb them, or if your brother or uncle is Tinubu, tell them to pay these scholars. It's very terrible. These scholars can't even work. Unlike US or UK, where you have the opportunity of working when you are studying, working for 20 hours per week, and like these scholars, these guys can't even work. They are studying in a foreign land. It's a different language. They will have to go through the stress of translating all these things. It's a very terrible situation. Don't go with BA scholarship. The government will suffer you. You will suffer, and your people will be able to know you. It's terrible. Don't think everyone at once who are enjoying our life. They will make you suffer. They will make you suffer. All right, all right. I think we've spent a lot of time. There is 1 hour, 40 minutes already. I want to thank everyone that joined in, that shared the space, that came in, and the likes. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you. Real good, real good. Please, after this, you can still share this space session with some people. Mujib, do you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Yes, I want to ask a question, sir.
Okay,
sorry, sir.
Quickly, yeah.
Yeah, between MSc first or directly to PhD, which one do you think I should go for first? Because as I said, as I heard from you earlier, you said it is very difficult to go for PhD compared to MSc, then go for PhD.
So in the context of departments and different schools, okay, different departments.
Okay,
Yeah, chemistry, for example, I know a lot of people with PhD, with BSc straight away, some engineering courses to BSc to PhD. Just saying that for some schools they have some sort of restriction, or some department they have some sort of restriction, or they limit the number of those that they take from BSc only, and they mix it with MSc, those who have MSc and BSc. So if you have the opportunity, that's why I usually tell people, when you're applying, make a mixture of applications. Apply to MSc, apply to PhD all together. Just make it a mixture, and whichever one comes through, then just keep it on. And many times, some people, when they apply for MSc, for example, in their school, they have the option of continuing to PhD. Okay, so if you fall into that category, you are in such schools, you can just continue with PhD and just move along.
all right, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, all right. Let me take these last two questions before we go. Um, Comrade, quickly, Comrade Olariwaju, let's have you. Then we have the Feromi quickly. Hey, did I just remove Ferom?
Good evening, doctor.
Yeah, good evening. Good.
He's your boy again.
Yeah, I mistakenly removed Feromi. That's funny. He or she will think that I'm a bad person now, and it was a mistake.
But what can I do? Because I don't have that sum of dollars a month in my currently. So I don't know what I can do. And I'm on tutu.
Depending on 2 months, I would have put in for some organization that offers free GRE scholarship. So what do you think I can do, sir?
So you are saying your department requires GRE?
Most economics departments
require
in US.
GRE, and then you don't want to write GRE. Is that what you are saying?
Yes.
Well, if they request for GRE, I don't think you have that option. I think you just have to do it. That's what I think, honestly.
Yeah.
And then because you have to, don't think you can't pass GRE.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, you can pass GRE.
Can I put in for another department?
Yes, it's possible, but it must be something you have a background knowledge for.
Okay.
Yeah, at least people in economics, for example, some of them can do all these international relation things or something that has to do with political whatever. That's possible.
Yes.
But don't
like for example now, I had an experience in education, especially teaching all this thing. So and I'm looking at putting for maybe educational management or educational leadership.
Yeah, education is an option too. Yeah, in fact, I know someone who did mechanical engineering in Nigeria, and he did education here in the US. But it's the education of technology, something like that. Maybe teaching, something that has to do with education, teaching STEM. See in the response in the comment section saying a lot. I'm not sure if it's still part of the space because I mistakenly removed him. But let me still answer his question. He's saying, hello, sir. Thank you for the space. I'm just about to begin my application journey. As I just got halfway with my NYSC, I want to ask which should I get first between a passport and my transcript? I'm asking because I have limited fund and I want to take it as one step at a time. Get your transcript because you need your transcript at the initial application level. Once you get your transcript, quickly start planning to get your passport immediately because once you get admitted, the next thing you will need will be your passport for them to process your I-20. Okay, so get your transcript to apply, get your passport to be able to do all those other processes. Okay, I hope that answered Fermi's question. I will still quote his tweets and then respond to him. It was a mistake that I removed him. All right. I think it's a good spot to end. We have done 1 hour 46 minutes. Thank you so much for everyone who joined on Twitter, on YouTube. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. God bless you. Real good. Have a nice night rest, especially for those in Nigeria, Ghana, and all other countries on that part of the world. For those of us on this side, yeah, we still have some hours to go. God bless you. Real good. Have a great night.